Wilde by now had so much stolen property in London that he decided to sell some of it. He bought a ship and transported the goods to Bruges, Ghent, and Brussels. Here they were sold in exchange for wine, brandy, and other items that were then smuggled secretly into England. This scheme was very successful for about 2 years until the captain of the boat, Johnson, and his assistant had an argument. The assistant told the authorities about Johnson's illegal activities, and the ship was captured and the captain was arrested in a tavern. Johnson immediately sent for Jonathan Wilde. When he arrived, Wilde realized that he had to do something quickly if he wanted to save his friend. He poured a glass of beer over a large man who was sitting with some friends. This made the man very angry. "What did you do that for?" he shouted at Wilde. "You and your friends are cowards." Wilde shouted back, "Come outside and fight me, all of you." The man and his friends stood up. One of them threw a chair at Wilde, but it missed him and hit another group of men. Men who were sitting at a table. They stood up as well and everyone began fighting. "Now's your chance," Wilde whispered urgently to Johnson. "Get out now." Johnson took Wilde's advice and ran out of the tavern as fast as he could. The officers reacted too slowly. They saw their prisoner escape, but they could not do anything about it. They knew, however, that Jonathan Wilde was responsible for the riot and they wanted their revenge for what he had done. The authorities began searching for Jonathan Wilde, and a number of charges were prepared against him. His good luck was about to come to an end. Mr. Jones, the High Constable of Holborn, issued a warrant for the arrest of Wilde. When the authorities discovered where he was, they arrested him and took him to Newgate Prison. Mr. Jones produced a long list of crimes that he said Jonathan Wilde had committed, including 2 crimes which were punishable by death. On 15 May 1725, Wilde was tried for the theft of 50 yards of lace from the house of Mrs. Streatham. During the trial, it emerged that Jonathan Wilde had organized the theft of the lace, but that he had not gone into the house himself. He had sent his men into the house to steal the lace. They had delivered it to him in the street outside the house. Wilde's defense lawyer argued that Wilde was not guilty of the offense. "The charge explicitly states that my client stole the lace in the house," the lawyer argued. "But the evidence shows that Mr. Wilde didn't steal the lace in the house because he was outside in the street. Therefore, my client isn't guilty of the crime." "You're right," the judge agreed. "The charge against your client isn't accurate." The jury listened to the judge's words carefully and they found Jonathan Wilde not guilty of the crime. Parliament now passed a new law. The new law said that if people had secret dealings with criminals and took money for recovering stolen property from their criminal contacts, they should be treated as if they had committed the crimes themselves. The second charge brought against Jonathan Wilde was based on this new law. It concerned the same crime as before, the theft of the lace from Mrs. Streatham. She gave evidence that after the lace was stolen, she went to Wilde's office to ask for his help in recovering it. He told her that he would investigate the crime for her. She said that she would be prepared to pay 25 guineas for the recovery of her property. Shortly afterwards, Jonathan Wilde was arrested and imprisoned in Newgate. Mrs. Streatham said that Wilde wrote to her from prison, "Bring me 10 guineas, and your property will be returned to you," he wrote. She went to the prison to see Wilde and found another man with him. Wilde told her to give the other man the 10 guineas. She gave him the money and he left. He returned soon afterwards with a box containing the stolen lace. The judge decided that the new law applied to Jonathan Wilde. He said that it was clear that Wilde had secret dealings with thieves and that he took money for returning stolen property to its owners. The jury found Jonathan Wilde guilty of the crime, and he was condemned to death. Wilde tried to escape the consequences of his crimes by arguing that he had done society a service by returning stolen property to the people from whom it had been taken. He wanted some of the important and influential people who had paid him for his services to organize a royal pardon for him. These hopes, however, were in vain. It was clear that there was no hope for Wilde. He became desperate and tried to poison himself before the day of the execution, but he did not succeed. Jonathan Wilde was taken to Tyburn to be executed on 24 May 1725. His notoriety as a criminal was so great that people threw stones at him on his last journey. The executioner told him that he could have a reasonable period to prepare himself for the execution. Jonathan Wilde sat in the prison cart for a considerable time. This made the crowd frustrated and angry. "Hang him," they shouted at the executioner. "Hang him now, or we will hang you." The executioner was afraid and performed his duty immediately, and the career of one of the most successful 18th-century criminals came to end. Thanks for watching story. Please subscribe our channel in more stories. Thank you.